Hi, thank you for joining me. Today I want to ask some advice. I'm playing Persona 4 Golden. I just started, I think, maybe last weekend, and I'm about 7.5 hours in, so I feel like I've gotten over the initial hump, and I'm starting to get into the game, but it's leaving me feeling a little unsatisfied. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about my impressions of it and see what you guys think so far. Minor spoilers about the beginning of the game. If you don't want those, then I would suggest you watch it after you've started the game. So my first impressions of the game, despite it being a little slow right at the start, were good. I've been enjoying it. The very interesting premise where the characters, people are getting sucked into this TV world and dying, and there's this murder mystery feeling to it, which is good. It's compelling. Maybe not quite so much as, say, Virtue's Last Reward or something like that, but definitely I'm down with it, and it's pretty cool. So I was introduced to the battle system, which I think is interesting. There's some really good things about it. In particular, I don't know how many RPGs I've played that have status effects or elemental weaknesses, things like that, that just are inconsequential. They're in the game, but you're like, why did they even put these in here? Because I never even consider them when I'm doing stuff, and it didn't make any difference. In this game, it seems like they're important. Additionally, there are just some cool systems. You have the cards that you can get at the end of the battles, which, if you... some cards will let you get more cards. If you get all the cards, it gives you bonuses for the next set of cards that you get, and just the ability to fuse your personas and stuff. Like, it's cool. Like, I kind of liked these gameplay elements, so I'm like, all right, this will be fun. But I think where it started to break down was when you get time to do whatever you want to after school. And the things that you do have consequences. If you do one thing, you aren't doing something else. Or if you go into the TV world, you're going to be too tired to do other stuff at the end of the day. So I'm like, okay, I like games that have those kind of systems. But, the first day maybe that I was able to do this, I just went around, I did a bunch of exploring, I checked out the whole, most of the school. You talk to a bunch of characters, and I'm like, it didn't do much. Like, a bunch of characters that didn't have any interesting dialogue. I had a whole bunch of locked doors. I didn't really get it. And then the game later on says, hey, you're neglecting your social links. And I'm like, well, I walked around and tried to talk to everybody and, check all the places, and, like, nothing happened. So what am I supposed to do? So, it was saying that I could join a club, so I figured out how to do that, and I decided to try doing that. So, that started to build social links. I guess you meet some people, and then you can hang out with them. I've saved one of the characters that I'm supposed to. Now you're just waiting for them to recover. So I'm like, this is the game's way of telling me that now's the time to do some of the social link garbage. So I'm going around, and I'm talking to the characters, and that's all fine. But and maybe I'm being too harsh on this at the beginning, but, honestly, like, I don't feel like it's adding a lot to the game. The characters so far, like, they aren't really interesting. So I'm wondering if that changes or not. It feels to me like my time is being wasted, and that's sort of like my first real negative that I have about that. So next up, I decide to go into the TV world, because I'm like, okay, I've done a bunch of this hanging out after school kind of stuff. Let me actually raise my character's stuff up, So I do that, and I talk to Chie, and she's like, I really don't want to go back to the castle, and I'm like, really? Like, is this, like, is my social link gonna drop with her or something like that? Like, you get these real, like, conflicting messages. I don't know if that's just flavor text, or if she really, this really has some sort of impact on the game. And it's just hard to tell. The pacing so far is odd, where you have to check to see what the weather's going to be, and I'm like, okay, well, it's going to be raining for 3 days straight. I'm like, that seems like a big time when something important's going to happen. So I'm like, do I need to have my levels up for then? I'm trying to go back into the TV world, and then it's been a couple days, like, nothing's been on Midnight Channel. It doesn't. I'm getting confusing mixed messages from the game. I know it seems like it's so universally liked. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing something. Maybe I'm overreacting about stuff. If you guys have any advice for me as to how I could get more enjoyment out of this game, I'd really like to know. I'm not going to give up on it right away, but if I get 2 or 3 more hours into it and I'm still having these kind of feelings, I might just put the game down. So I wanted to just check in with you guys and see what you think. That's all. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me again next time.